I said, well, I'm scared. I said, I'm scared because me leaving my family, who's going to protect them?
Mm-hmm.
And God, clear as day, said, oh, so you the one keeping them protected.
That's good. That's mine. I feel you.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry, God. Forgive me. Because we like to think because of our presence, they're being protected. I can get obliterated. My presence can get obliterated if they come in with the right tools.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Yeah, I shoot. I got some fighting skills.
Right.
This is real.
Right.
I can shoot a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Run up on me if you want to. But
you can handle a weapon.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
It's what I'm saying. I'm very defensive minded. I'm not scared of anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? But can I be taken out? Of course. So if I get taken out in any scenario around my family, am I the real protector? You know what I'm saying? Even if I get taken out and they be safe, they're still safe. Right. I got taken out. So who really protected them? Who was really their protector? So I think in a natural sense, as a man, it's natural to be like, I'm the protector, and you're supposed to be.
Okay.
But
that's the point.
protection comes from a protector.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not you protecting it. It's that God gives you the ability to protect.
Welcome to the Awesome Black Dad Show, where we give life to the stories of fathers in a way that empowers and encourages us to be a better version of ourselves. Today's episode features a panel of dads brought together to discuss their feelings and opinions on topics ranging from raising our boys to their fullest potential to the true meaning of happy wife, happy life. We really had some fun with this one, so turn up the volume a notch and enjoy. Yeah, I can't say nothing else after that. I can't. Yeah,
that's a good one, bro.
Yeah, that's absolutely. We got that on wax. You want to wrap that in? You want to put that in a rhyme for us?
No. Wrap that,
put that in some bars.
Let's leave Cornica out of it.
Right. If you want to know who Cornica is, you got to listen to the outtakes. Right. So stay tuned. I'll put them in the outtakes.
No.
So we're about to wrap up. We've definitely had a good time. I got 2 more questions I'd like to get into. And I'm trying to decide. I'm looking at them, and it's like,
throw them both at that.
I think the other one is going to be. I'll end with the last one. Fair. What is the best interpretation of happy wife, happy life, and do you subscribe to that idea?
Hell no.
Well, that brother only needed 1.1 seconds to do that. Like, I don't, if this was a track meet, he would have been, he got the goal. Like, he's already standing up there before the gun went off.
New world record.
Shoot.
Should we move on to the next question?
I kind of feel like it, but I'm scared to ask why. Yeah, please. So you don't subscribe to that, is what you're saying?
Not at all.
I don't either.
Neither do I.
Right, and neither do I. So why does that message get pushed around though?
Because it
so
sounds
good.
good.
Why has it lived so long?
Because women still live. They keeping that alive.
No, I think it still lives because the amount of men that live by that model are still around enough to keep it going, and there's not enough men challenging that in a way that we can change it, right?
Men who live by that are the same guys who come home and go down in the basement and be quiet till it's time to go to bed. And their kids don't know who they are.
I ain't gonna rope them all in there like that. But
let me add on that and just let their wives shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Till they drop.
Yeah, I don't. So here's the thing. It's way too suggestive for me. It suggests that, and me and Real have had this conversation. Like, we've gotten it because he was feeling a certain way and I feel a certain way. I'm like, nah, it don't work that way because it suggests that you give everything to your wife and everything else will be okay, right? You don't have to worry about nothing else. You make her happy. And first of all, it suggests that you have the ability to make her happy, which you don't.
No, I don't even think it says that much. It says essentially, you do this to keep her quiet. And if you keep her quiet, you'll be happy.
But that's still whatever you're doing. Keeping her quiet suggests that she's happy, right? Because she's not saying anything, she's not nagging, she's not doing anything, and that suggests that we're simple enough that nagging is the only thing that we don't want in our lives.
True.
Like sometimes, all right, maybe you need to nag me for me to get off my ass and do something, right? Now, I don't need it all the time, but sometimes. Like, I don't have the power to make my wife happy consistently. That is not going to happen. She has to define that for herself, and hopefully I can support her in that. But I can't spend the rest of my life attempting to make her happy so that I can have a happy life. Then it also suggests that just her being happy is the only way that I can be happy, when that's not true.
Not at all.
Because sometimes I might need you to be mad so that I can be happy because we ain't getting through. That probably didn't come out right. Let me scratch that off.
No, that came out.
Let me scratch that.
I'll be coming in a Honda. Say it again.
No, I think when we had those conversations, basically what I'm trying to say is sometimes you have to be the example. Sometimes you have to be the one who just says, okay, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. And eventually she'll catch on. It's always my argument. It's like, dude, if she want it that way, it's not really a big deal because we get wrapped up in the macho thing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's more of, well, she ain't giving me what I want. I ain't gonna give her what she want. It's like, man, give her what she want. She'll fall in line after a while. That's always been my standpoint.
It gets beyond the pettiness of things. I think there's some things that can get that we can get really, really petty about. But I think overall, when you wrap yourself in that statement, like happy wife, happy life, if my nephew came to all of us and that was our motto, and he was like, I'm thinking about getting married, and you just tell him happy wife, happy life.
Happiness is temporary.
It changes from day to day.
Not just that. Your wife could be happy and you could be miserable.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, all of that.
Exactly.
Right, because you don't never want to sacrifice your own happiness for her.
No.
For her happiness.
I think what should happen in relationships is that what makes me happy is to see her happy, and I have to be strong enough to understand that not everything I do is the thing that's going to make her happy. Like I'm happy that she's in a place. If my wife has a job that she loves, right, and she's doing that thing, it makes me excited that she's in a place where she's doing something that makes her happy. I have nothing to do with that, right? So I don't want to suggest. Tony, go ahead, man.
Go ahead. I'm with you.
No. I still believe, and I stand on this, that sometimes you have to do things. That's what marriage is about. You have to do things that you don't like, that you don't necessarily make, that don't necessarily make you happy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's good natural practice to do that with your wife, because if you can't do that with your wife, you definitely can't do it with God. You can't die to self.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you can't deny yourself in your relationship, sometimes you just gotta. I don't like doing this, but I'm still do it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? To make you happy, because like I said, happiness is temporary. That happiness gonna go once you get on her nerve.
Yeah.
Once y'all bumping heads, she ain't happy no more. You don't even care no more. So that little favor you did, who cares?
Right.
You don't even remember.
You don't even remember it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes you got to eat the cake too.
So basically, what y'all saying is that we need to strike a match and burn this phrase down.
Yeah.
Burn it down.
Burn it.
But you made a really good point about, there are things that you see your wife do that genuinely make you happy.
Right.
Because she's doing the thing that she's most passionate about. And for me, when I ask that question, does a happy wife necessarily mean a happy life? I think that for me, that interpretation means that when you're doing the things that you're passionate about, when you're living with principle, that's what ultimately makes her happy. The woman is always going to challenge you to prove that you are who you say you are.
True.
So when you start to give up who you are, that's when she becomes unhappy. It's not so much that she's not getting her way. Yeah. It's that she can't rely on you to be the person that you say.
Man, that makes us vulnerable as hell.
Right.
True indeed.
So what?
Fair. Fair, because it all leads back to growth. You got to be in a space where you're comfortable with being vulnerable with people so that you can grow.
I mean, you were vulnerable in that car, in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some situations you're just going to be vulnerable. Right. You have to own up to it.
Right. And so part of your question, to answer the previous question, and I'm not saying that was your question, but part of that question is that we have to, if we're raising our sons, we have to raise them in a way that they can be okay with some of their weaknesses and vulnerabilities. You
have to be.
Right?
As long as
the only
they
way
can,
to be stronger.
as long as they can accept the accountability, then on the flip side,
Right. It's no longer a
it's
weakness.
no
then.
longer a weakness.
Right. It's no longer considered a weakness.
The issue is that so many men are not taught to be accountable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Especially
I think that's the
with
big,
self.
yeah.
Once we get to a point where we can be accountable,
Yeah.
that ain't no issue.
Right. And I think that's another way how we begin to challenge everybody else too, right? When we in circles and we all married and then get to talking about I had old girl with this, that, and the other. At some point you might need to you understand he got challenges. I mean, he got things going on in his relationship. But at some point you as his friend or being in that circle have to say, bro, do you want this to work or not? Like why like it ain't cool no more. We're not 18. Like you ain't got to come to me and tell me about your exploits. Like I know that you can get it.
When I was a child, I thought as a child.
I know you can get it, but it ain't. I mean, it ain't laughable no more. You got kids that are and you're jeopardizing
I spoke as a child.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but when I became a man, I put away childish things.
So, and to this point, I just recently got introduced. My cousin Landis introduced me to an album called "So Many Blessings" that I posted on Facebook or social media last week, and it's an album by a husband and a wife. Right? She sings, he raps, and they talk about they go through the process of a relationship from the dating to the struggles. And one of the songs, they were arguing. She called her girl, he called his guy, and he was talking to his guy. He was like, "Man, I come home and my wife asked me to do these things, and I just got these. I worked this long, and she wants me to do chores and stuff." And he's like, "That's what she signed up for." And he's like, "Well, dude," his friend was like, "Well, dude, you got to know that she's been at home with the kids all day. She had it hard.
She tired
too, right?" And then he goes into the fact that he's like, "Yeah, I get more compliments at work than I get at home." and his boy like, "Well, why are we having this conversation if you already know where you getting ready to go? Like, we don't need to talk. Why are you talking to me? Just going over
validation. This ain't the call.
You want me to tell you to go get Cornica? I'm not going to tell you that. But
with this name. Oh my goodness.
But if that's what you're going to do, we don't need you. You don't need me because I'm not finna validate that for you. I'm not finna be an accomplice to that. Right? That's just not who I am. I'm not in your circle for that reason. Find the other dude that's in your circle for that. Now, if you want to vent, we can do that over some drinks and get it over with. But I know you're going home, right? And so that's there's so many things as it pertains to that we can continue to go on. So the last question that we got: does rite of passage still exist? And if it doesn't, if it does, what does it look like? And if it doesn't, do we need to create it? And by rite of passage, I mean rite of passage for our children. And so, as an example, we all know, historically, to become a man, you'd have to go out to the forest. I don't know if this was Jarrell I was having a conversation with or somebody else, where I think in some African tribe, like you had to come back with a lion.
Make it back.
Yeah. You had to come, not only make it back, you had to come back with the head of a lion to marry their wife.
There's a tribe in South Africa. You have to come back. If you want to marry their daughter, you have to come back with a lion's head on top of your dowry. You know what I mean?
And what is your dowry?
Your dowry is pretty much how much you're going to pay to marry this woman. So one of the guys that was with us, I asked him, his wife was sitting right there. I said, "How much you pay for your wife?" He said $80,000 US plus something like 3 goats and four cows and all. Now, if y'all don't know, goats cost a lot. Goats and cows and all that stuff over in Africa is money, a whole lot of money. But that's the rite of passage we were talking about.
Right. So let's talk Western civilization.
I don't think there is, and I think that's what points to a lot of the issues that we have in our community.
Definitely,
because nowadays all it takes is to be able to have sex, buy a drink, and have a baby, which don't take no real thought. And that's how people are determining whether or not they're adults. The bar has gotten so low, and we continue. One thing that gets on my nerves, if you got a 15-year-old that's pregnant, why are you throwing parties and doing showers and all this other kind of stuff as if it was cool? And then
that's effectively a rite of passage. We're opening it the same way we treat proms.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with celebrating that, but we don't see the same when that same child graduates from college or starts their own business.
Or we put so much emphasis on high school knowing you can't do nothing with a high school diploma.
Right.
So I'm going to empty the purses because you did what legally you have to do. Right. You got to go to high school.
Right.
You don't have to go to college. That's a choice. But it's your job to go to high school and finish with decent grades. You come back with D's and we rejoicing and throwing petals on for real. So we've got to the point where we are rewarding ineptness. We are rewarding people for coming up short or just doing just enough to get by.
So rite of passage still exists. We've just ruined it and lowered the bar to a place to where the idea of black excellence is not the norm, right?
When we
whatever that means.
When we talk about black excellence, one of my uncle one day, I was asking him why he wasn't a member of some high society black organization. He said, "Why would I go and sit in a room of 500 millionaires who sit up and pat themselves on the back because they giving out $1,500 scholarships?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?" Yeah. He said, if anything, it's a slap in the face of all the work that whatever kid they talking about honoring. It's a slap in the face. Because any one of y'all could just right now write a check for the full 4 years. So why would I do that? He said, we put ourselves in a position where we dumb down because it's the easy thing to do and it's an easy way to get a pat on the back. Repeatedly, over and over and over again, and then we wonder why our communities look the way they do, why people perceive themselves the way that they do. Because if you don't build, we talked about, you go by what you see, you learn by what you see. So if all I see is people not working hard, not doing the extra, why would I do it? You've already shown me that that's not what I need to do to be okay. You okay, you did it this way, why shouldn't I? So essentially, yeah, we've taken the rite of passage and we've cut the bottom out of it.
To that.
And I just killed the room, huh?
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I mean,
it just really brings a lot of things, into perspective. One of the things that we really have to think about is when we talk about rites of passage, and especially writing checks for tuition for students to excel at a higher level. The goal of this world is really not to have people that excel at a higher level. When you look at TV, they could very easily put programs in place that allow this entire nation to be educated. A lot of universities now are offering their courses online, but that stuff is not mainstream. It's not put in the mainstream for people to find readily. And even when they do, it's not rewarded with the degree. The things that they put on TV are Real Housewives of Atlanta, Black Ink Chicago, Black Ink New York, all of the things that show us in the worst possible light that they could show us in. And that's shown at the time when people are the most programmable. So they come in after a long day of being programmed at school, And now they come home from school and they're tired. And this is the programming that you put in place. So knowing that people pick up on certain things when their brain activity starts to slow down, that's what they put in place. So now you see our people acting out the very things that they see on TV, and those are the things that get rewarded. The people that are celebrities in our culture are not the doctors, the scientists, the researchers, the engineers. The people in our societies that are celebrated are the actors that play gangbangers, drug dealers, prostitutes, thugs, criminals, whatever you want, So the point to all of that is, again, when you're trying to destroy a culture, you put the worst possible images in front of a people because that's the thing that they act out. That plays into their imagination because when they start to think and create visions, that's the thing that they've seen the most. That's the thing that they can reference the most when they start to go to their imagination to create what might be their potential reality.
Why was Black Panther so successful? $1 billion in 4 weeks, and
Right.
nobody else did it.
Right.
Why does that work?
I think it works for a number of reasons. But specifically, I think to some degree, you'd have to believe that we came together as a community and made that happen, right? Mm-hmm. And it also works because I think it also suggests that we are in grave need of more positive, successful stories, images of people that look like us, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why it happens. But sometimes we are our own worst enemy because right after Black Panther, we get caught up into like, all right, that's not good, so we're not going to support the next thing that comes behind it for whatever fickle reason that is. When sometimes you have to support the quote unquote mediocre for the rest of the world to begin to accept you as a mass, and not that the point is to accept us all, that we're out here trying to make people like us. Mm-hmm. This is more about us internally. Like we want our people to be in a place where we know that, that we're successful, and we see that because it directly affects our kids.
Now, we do that, right? The reality is, for us to do that, it wasn't easy. Okay? Because the easy thing would have been to do what a lot of times we do with movies. We watch on Fire Stick.
Yeah.
We trying to find a way
Bootleg,
not to do.
Not to do, yeah.
But we get caught in this dilemma where we want what's easy to do. And the reality is, for us to make improvements, for us to make things happen, for us to step up collectively, both men and women, we have to realize that it's not easy, and accept that that's what comes along with whatever measure of success that we're going to get out of anything. And so until we get to a point where we start to realize the brother paid $80,000, some goats and cows, and a lion's head. After the $80,000 and the goat and cattle, most of us been like, dude,
enough.
I done really gave you enough.
Right. Now you want me to go out here and sacrifice my life.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at some point, we have to realize that the things that we want, even a relationship, has to be something that we're willing to put ourselves on the line, to make ourselves vulnerable, for us to put ourselves in a position to lose in order to get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, face the reality that we just don't want it.
We just don't want it enough.
And that's the
And nobody's gonna give it to us.
Man.
Yeah, they never have.
Like when we first started this thing off, when Tony said, when you see a woman, when he was younger, when you saw the woman, your desire, and you act accordingly.
Right.
If we really truly desire something, there always follows an action. There always follows a pursuit.
Yeah.
Yes,
You desire, then pursue.
Right.
Desire, pursue. Desire, pursue. So even on the flip side, what I didn't tell you was, on the flip side of their dowry, is that, of course, they value their women, right? If the woman is not valuable, so put it like this: if she's college educated, if she doesn't have any babies, if she's a virgin, if she got a good job, all these things make the dowry go up.
Right.
So you got to pay a lot.
Right. So it's not about the money you're paying for this woman.
You're paying for the value.
Right.
Yes.
It's the value. It's her showing you the representation of her value.
But and let me add this: that $80,000, he was stacking that from birth.
Exactly.
He was stacking that from birth. His parents helped him, of course, but when he got old enough to work, he was stacking up for a dowry, for a wife. He was already expected to go get a wife.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, his tribe almost disowns him. You're ashamed. You're shaming us because you haven't found a wife yet. In other words, you haven't found value in a woman yet to enhance your life.
Right. So
Because
where's
a
your
woman-
value?
a woman-
So where's your value if you can't do
I
that?
don't mean to cut you off, but I got to go there.
Right.
At some point, brothers, we have to start valuing the women in our communities enough to not just want to have a good time with them,
Yeah.
but to actually build families with them.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that drives me nuts is we talk about how good black women are, but you just randomly dropping kids off and you keep on going.
Yeah.
When are you going to see the value there, the true value, and say, you know what, I value you too much to drop one off, or I value you too much to let this go on forever and then be up.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we have to take that type of ownership. Now, I'm one of those regular people who say, stop telling me, this guy lied to you and this, that, and the other. Sometimes you want to hit a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Or sometimes you didn't ask the question that you should have asked because you wanted to later on be able to say he lied or he didn't tell you.
Right.
I'm not talking about those scenarios. I'm talking about the scenario where a guy says, you know what? At some point, I need to be accountable for not doing this or not putting her in this position.
Right. Take responsibility for it.
At some point, we got to start doing that.
And that goes right back to rite of passage. For a guy to be saving $80,000 as a future dowry for the woman that he's gonna marry means that somebody has been training him to understand what the value of an $80,000 woman is worth. What the value of a woman who you would give 3 goats and a lion's head to is worth. Because if you're gonna give your life, if you're gonna risk your life to get that lion's head, she damn sure better be worth the lion's head when you get her.
Right.
You don't want a woman that's sitting at the house watching soap operas all day.
Right.
And you've just fought a fucking lion.
Right.
Because ain't nobody going to want your 3-fingered ass in a minute.
Right. Straight up.
Right.
Yeah. Because you lost a couple of yeah. Straight up.
Right. But the other part to that is the woman has to also be trained to be recognized what her role is when that man comes along.
Well,
And when you think about that,
I think. Go ahead.
if a guy, if men really understood the concept in Western civilization, really understood the concept of a dowry,
Right.
really respected the tradition of asking a woman's father her hand in marriage, there would be a lot more respect and value placed on the institution of marriage. But when you can go to a Walmart and get an $89 cubic zirconia, and you marry a woman just because she's got a fat ass,
Right.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no reason why.
Yeah, but those are a lot of the things that we as men celebrate as a part of the rite of passage. So we're okay because we're growing. We have our growing pains. So we go through this period in our youth that's what we're looking for, and we celebrate that.
That's been our rite of passage.
Yeah, that's been our rite of
that's
passage.
come along.
And to your point, Tony, the divorce rate so low.
Yeah,
because of the dowry.
Right, because when you think about it.
Think about this. If I gave $100,000 for my wife, which if I had, I would.
Right.
You ain't going.
I ain't going no. That's an investment.
And I just cut the head
I want
off
that
his
$100 back plus more. That's an
more.
investment. I want some appreciation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some interest back.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why divorce rate is so low.
Yeah.
It's almost obsolete.
Right.
Right.
And again, to Tony's point, he was saying that the women need to be trained. I don't know if it's necessarily that they need to be trained. I think, well, they do need to be trained, but trained in the sense that they understand the value that they're building, just
Their
like the
value.
boy, their value, just like
They need to
just like
understand
the
their value.
their value.
Yeah, no,
Just-
because-
exactly. That's the point you were trying to
when
make.
the guy
Yeah, for
told
sure.
me that, I said, man, some of the chicks back at home, we probably could have paid $15 for.
Yeah. Right.
Because he was telling me how they value women,
yeah.
and they actually go to the fathers, go to the uncles actually negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
They actually go to the woman's uncles and they negotiate. The parents can't negotiate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they bias.
Exactly. They're gonna be like, man, my daughter worth $3 million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But who got
Off
that?
top.
But you know what? That goes into
They got it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they do, but
that goes into what she's being taught to respect and honor as well.
Yeah.
Because for a woman to respect a man that goes to her father, she has to have been taught to respect her father from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many who haven't been because he didn't do what your mama wanted.
Right. Yeah.
And the same thing for boys. I think a lot of times, a lot of the young men who are being raised with images that are negative of themselves simply because of the relationship that their mom had with their father.
Yep.
And a lot of that,
Powerful there.
our generations have to say it's enough of that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people trip out on the relationship that me and Dana have with my ex-wife. It's nothing for her kids to be at my house. It's nothing because that's our kids' sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter looks at, she say, "Well, who is that? Sister."
Yeah.
It's my sister.
It goes a little
sister.
deeper than that. It's a deeper relationship, which was surprising to me. And I won't, if you want to talk about that, that's fine.
no,
But it goes a little bit deeper. But it speaks to I don't want to just say maturity because I feel like even maturity dumbs it
Maturity.
down.
It's
So,
it's
but no,
not
it
that
goes
it's
to the
maturity,
point to
it's the respect of family.
right. So what happens is, if it's okay, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
So last time I was over to Dave's house, actually when we did the dance session or whatever, and just so you guys know, Dave does dance lessons, and you should take it if you can. I will put the information in the show notes so you can be there for it. But I was over to his house, and I've been over there a couple of times, and he has these gatherings of guys, and we have these conversations. And so one of the guys, we were talking about randomly because I was eating some. It wasn't Jamaican food, but it was something. It was another ethnic food. It was Jamaican food.
Jerk chicken.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, this jerk chicken is just as good as what's the name chicken was, right? And he was like, oh yeah. And then they got into the conversation, and then somehow it came up that that's his ex-wife's boyfriend, and I was like, wait, what? Because when he comes over, you would think the way that they interact, you would think that they grew up together. Right? And he was like, no, that's my ex-wife's boyfriend. I said, how'd that work? To myself. And then you could say in my face, he's like, they just start laughing. Like, and then they get into the whole spiel like, yeah, we treat it like family. He come over, he hang out, and I don't think I would ever.
But why not?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I really don't know. It's strange. And the other thing that's strange to me too, like for me, that I'm trying to address, and I don't know if it's an issue. Y'all tell me if it is, right?
It is.
Oh, right.
If you gotta ask, it's
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But no, another one of my friends sent me a video of a lady and her son, and the son was in a fight, and she was egging the son on, get out there, fight. No, he was literally like, you can tell when your kid ain't the kid to be out there fighting, right? And she pushed him. He studied every time she pushed him out there. He getting his head knocked back. Bing, bing. He crying. He crying a real cry. And she, no, you gonna get out there and you gonna fight, dude. And the dude smaller than him too. And they like, he hit him and he done fell on the ground. He doing all that yelling and screaming. And she keep pushing him. And I felt a certain way about her being the one that pushes him. But then I put myself in her shoes and I said that I would probably do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So is it a problem that I felt that she shouldn't be doing that and that I should be?
So I saw the video, and I think the issue was not that she was pushing them to do it, but that's not a situation that you just push somebody into if they're untrained. I mean, it was pretty damn obvious that the kid had never been in an experience where he had to perform. And now you've got the pressure of trying to make him to perform to please you
Right.
in a situation that he's completely unprepared to deal with.
I think she was overcompensating,
But-
because the father wasn't there. She
Exactly.
thought that that's what a man was supposed to do. I would have done it, but I probably would have handled it differently than she did. Probably.
But the thing is, as a man, you understand getting your ass whooped don't mean that your manhood is shook.
Right.
Take
It
that
means
L.
you take that L
Right.
Come back and
you
work.
come back and
Yeah, yeah.
work. And
Right.
that's the part, and that's when we get into the whole idea of roles.
Yeah.
Roles are important
Yeah.
because you don't understand that from this role.
Right.
You think you do because you seen this is what you've seen
Just what you
before.
think, yeah.
You don't understand the full dynamic because you wasn't there for the talk afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
for me, that issue was it said a whole lot on a whole bunch of levels.
Right.
First of all, I think as a dad, you're in front of that kid long before he ever gets into that situation
Right.
where you got to egg him on,
Right, right.
go out there and fight back.
Yeah.
Because as men, we understand the importance that your masculinity is directly tied into your ability to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So you can't just put a kid and go out, go fight
Yeah.
fight the bully.
You're right.
The kid that's naturally, you can tell naturally has been having a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And you're going to go out there and you're going to fight this kid.
Right.
It don't make sense.
Yeah.
But now you have also taught that kid now to be emasculated by the other women
Yeah.
that come into his life because in front of all of the people that mean something to him,
Yeah.
in front of the entire world because you videotaped it,
Yeah.
you calling the kid out of his name because he didn't defend himself because he wasn't prepared to defend himself.
Right. Yeah.
Now he goes into relationships because he's going to pick the woman that's most like his mother
Right.
and she's going to emasculate him,
tell
and
you
now
what.
he's not going to show up in the
Right.
world.
Fair. Yeah.
Because it's
As a man.
history.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want her in my corner if I was a boxer. I would get killed. Throw in the towel. It is time to throw in the towel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throw in the towel.
Yeah.
I had an idea. Oh yeah, The Art of War. If y'all read that book, man, one of the rules is when you're fighting someone and they obviously don't want to fight, it's over.
Exactly.
It's over.
Yeah.
And once he or she, that's why I wouldn't push. If that was my son, yeah, I want him to fight. And if he get pop, 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 I'm going to say, hit him back. If I see him not hitting back, okay, fight him.
It's time.
Pull him
it's
out.
time to
Fight
go.
over.
Right.
Let me holler at you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because
I'm not
he don't
doing my
want to
job.
fight.
I failed.
He don't want to fight. The child don't understand Art of War.
Right.
But
You know what
she
I'm
has,
saying?
but and that's the thing.
Yeah.
She has to understand the dynamic. That's a manly thing.
Yes.
Right. Period.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Whether-
that is something
right,
you
whether-
were not built to understand.
I got a
or do.
son.
Exactly.
I got a son who ain't built for that.
Right.
And if that was me, he gonna get lumped up. He gonna get lumped up off of 1 or 2 hits.
Right.
Exactly.
All right.
I'm not gonna let him sit there.
He
and
not
get-
gonna fight.
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
not gonna fight.
It ain't in there.
You ain't gonna fight. Let's go.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't put yourself in a position to be. Yeah. Right. And it was just so challenging.
And,
Like
and,
looking at-
and to be honest, as a parent, man or woman, as a parent, you don't even want them
fighting. You
Exactly.
really. You don't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Your kids,
So
yeah.
you try to dissolve that and before any punch is thrown,
Right.
Whether the other kid parent is there or not, you want to talk to them, come in between them and say,
Right.
listen. Y'all really don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I know, son. I know you don't want to fight
Right.
because you're not a fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You talk to your son like that, like, son, come on now. I know you.
Right.
I want you to fight. I want you to be a fighter. We all want our sons to be fighters, but you know,
And I don't know if we all want them to be fighters.
I mean,
I
you
think
know,
I know what you
to
mean.
be able to
yeah,
stand up.
to stand up for yourself and
Yeah.
defend yourself. But
And-
we've
exactly,
inserted that thing.
defend yourself, right.
Yeah, we've inserted that as a part of that rite of passage, and I don't know that it belongs there. We've misconstrued the fact that the guy that goes out and gets the head of the lion has actually, since he was born, been going out with his dad and chucking spears. Right? If your son and or daughter, for that matter, haven't been going out with you and throwing hands, and then one day you wake up and somebody gets in his face and you expect him to be like able to throw hands, you failed. As his father, you have failed because you didn't prepare him for that, but you have an expectation of him that you don't even have for yourself.
Floyd Mayweather wouldn't be 40-0
Right.
if he had been
Right.
fighting since he was 13.
Right, exactly.
his dad actually, like to your point again, his dad did what he did before
Yeah.
he was even born. His dad was a boxer.
So it was a boxer, yeah.
So if you're gonna box, here's what I did. I'll
Right.
show you what I did. Here's what I did wrong. Here's what I did right.
Yeah.
Here's how you can improve on as a boxer or as a man.
Yeah. And so standing up for yourself doesn't necessarily always have to mean physically.
No,
Like,
I mean, you didn't stand up to the guys in the car.
Right.
You kind of dissolved.
Well,
I don't mean to say it like that. I don't mean to say it like that. I don't mean to say it like. See what I'm saying?
This is over.
See, that's pride, man. This is the pride, man. That spirit of pride. Listen,
No. Cut.
spirit of pride. I rebuke you right now in the name of
see
Jesus.
how
No.
But I did stand up some kind of way. I got out the car.
In all honesty, I think that was the most courageous thing.
Get behind me, Ego.
Especially, in light of you walking up to a vehicle and you don't know who's in the vehicle, and you approach the vehicle and you see people in the back of the vehicle.
Right.
What I'm
I
saying
feel like
is,
it was
what I'm
courageous
saying-
and stupid.
What,
Like,
no, that's courageous.
What I'm saying is, you didn't stand up to it,
Right.
and that was right.
Right.
That was actually standing up for your family.
Right. Yeah.
That was probably a situation that could have went left,
Way left. Really
quickly.
Really quickly.
If you had so much pride and you want to stand up,
Yeah,
and be
yeah,
a man
yeah.
and show my sons, hey,
Right.
I know.
But his sons will remember that example.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know a friend. I got a friend who he had the same situation.
Yeah.
He was on the lakefront in 31st Street Beach, and he was pulling in the park, and another guy got the park, really,
Right.
pretty much. And this guy was old.
Mm-hmm.
He got out the car, and he argued. So he was telling me the story,
Right.
and he said, "Man, I got out the car, and I'm like, I see my son like looking at me like, Daddy, what you gonna do?" And I'm arguing with the guy, and the old man was like, "Go ahead on somewhere." Old Hispanic guy. He said, "So I got big bag about it because my son out the window said, 'Dad, what you gonna do about that?' Pumping him up." he go to the guy, get in his face. This old man who was 68 years old.
Never
the
try-
brakes.
Never try, old man.
Beat the brakes off my buddy. In front of his son. All because he couldn't just
couldn't-
walk
the pride.
away.
He
Get
couldn't-
another part. It ain't even that
It ain't even
serious.
that serious. Yeah, we get. I mean, and we can go on like so. And those are the things. As another example, is like we go on a walk down the street, and there's a group of guys 2 blocks down, right? And I say, "Bet, let's cross the street and keep walking the other way." Why? So I don't say nothing. We just keep walking, going around the other way, come back around. Time we get back to the house, she asks again why we do it. I say, I don't know if anything was going to happen, but sometimes when guys are in a group, they try, and you're
Every
with your
time.
lady,
It's
right?
pack mentality.
They try you just to do a little, and I didn't.
Just to
I put
see
us in a
what you
situation
gonna
where we wouldn't be tried. Like she
Right.
would, if she was leading, and I was the guy that was just like with her, we could have been in a situation where I never would have been able to protect either one of us,
Exactly.
right? And so it's the rite of passage gives us the ability, or our boys the ability, hopefully at some point that they can see some of those things before.
But that's being a protector.
Right.
Fair,
Exactly.
Right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
being a
So it's not always the physical, and it's making those decisions.
It's long before.
And
It's
that's
rarely the physical.
Right.
Rarely.
One of the things that I think happens all too often when we try to define manhood or talk about manhood, we end up defining macho or using macho
Right.
images, macho descriptions, macho feelings
Yeah.
to describe manhood, and that ain't it.
Yeah,
It's the elements of life that generally are attributed to different men that men in general can agree on as
Right.
being a part of what men do and don't do. So ultimately, for me, man law is manhood, but that comes from interactions with other men to constantly see what
Right.
that is
What that
based
is.
on each and every man's experience.
man. Well, I can definitely talk to you, brother, for another hour and a
Let's
half,
go.
but I'm
I
sure
got
y'all.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Somebody got to get home. Somebody got to make a wife happy so their life can be happy, right?
No, just tell her, look, I was out being a man. To make you
I
happy.
tell mine, don't even ask me what I was doing.
Right.
I get home when I get there.
Right. Eat the cake. And
I be home by 7, baby.
Says the man who just looked at his phone and replied,
I'll be home by 7, baby.
I'm pulling the plug on this right now, baby. Don't even worry about it. Terrell done went over
they
on
won't
me.
shut up. I keep trying to tell her.
He done sold us out.
I done threw in
I'm
3.
about to FaceTime so she know where I'm at.
You can't FaceTime her with that flip phone. Stop.
Blackberry, boy. This is Blackberry.
See, baby, look around. It ain't no girls nowhere in this place.
No, I
They
appreciate
even,
you.
they even painted the pole brown so it wouldn't look like it's
No, but I appreciate you brothers for coming through, man, and joining me for this
Likewise,
panel
likewise.
session, man. We had a good time.
Yes, sir.
And we'll do this again soon.
Peace.
Peace.
As always, we appreciate you joining us on this journey to become a better version of ourselves. These candid conversations are meant to inspire, encourage, and empower you with something that you can apply to your own life or share with someone that you know needs to hear it. We would love to hear how these conversations are impacting you or the people around you. So do us a solid and head on over to the review section on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, I'm proud to announce that we recently released our very first high-quality coffee table photo book, Fatherhood Through the Eyes of Black Dads. This book tells a story of 8 dads and their experience with fatherhood using powerful images. Head on over to our website awesomeblackdads.com, and click on the Projects tab for more information. You can follow us on all social media at Awesome Black Dads, and we'll see you next episode. Peace.